If I gave you 1 minute to convince someone with disorganized attachment style that they should never cheat, what would you say to them? And I'm going to challenge you on a few things of your perception of a disorganized attachment style, because you may think that it's someone who's super chaotic, all over the place, unpolished, lives a very crazy life, and it could be the total opposite. They could be people who are very much trying to be in control and do things in an orderly fashion. They may be quite controlling in many ways and present in a way that you would think would be the opposite. These can be highly intelligent, hardworking people. But what kind of person do they attract? If you're going to tell them how not to cheat when they're feeling the urge to do so, what would be your best argument with someone who has two polar opposites going at the same time? Number one, why are they attracting somebody that they might want to cheat with? They may attract someone who has distance. They could be very attracted to a long distance relationship, and the person could seem like they are the most amazing person that they've ever met in life, but there's distance. If they are feeling the urge to cheat with someone, this could be another highly intelligent Christian beliefs, strong faith, wanting to do the right thing, wanting to live their life a certain way, and they're both extremely attracted to each other. What is in the mix? Once again, you have distance. There's an automatic separation, right? There's an automatic excuse not to close the deal. That's your push away. They can be triggered into two opposing forces within the same person. Romantic relationships trigger their two heads: avoidance and anxiousness. Come close, get away. Cheating puts into place an automatic separation. In other words, cheating creates a problem that also creates an automatic way to keep you separate from someone else. It creates distance and it keeps you from getting closer to someone because you've got this issue that's in the way. That's the distance that I'm speaking of. And it may not feel like truth to them, but the fact remains that that is often a component in who they are attracted to. So they're highly attracted to somebody where there's distance. Remember, they also want to be bonded and close to someone. So this is a sneaky, subconscious way of inserting distance, because they may feel very bonded and very close and connected and have great conversations and really be connected to this person. You also have a potential suitor who has everything and they feel close to that person too, and yet they feel like there's something missing. And what could be missing is the distance component. Like it's too right. Not attracted enough to somebody who's right there. That's saying, hey, I'm here. I'm what you want on paper. I am what you want logistically, because I'm steady, I'm stable, I'm consistent, I'm persistent, I'm a person of my word. Now, here's the thing. The person that they may feel highly attracted to with built-in distance, that person may also be very stable, very steady, very reliable, very loving, very consistent, very intelligent, has a great job, has the looks, has the everything, has the bells and whistles, is someone that they can rely on. It could be somebody who's proving to them that, hey, I could be your person. I could be the one you've been dreaming about your whole life, that you've been trying to find and you can't find them. And then when you do, there's a built-in distant component. So again, how would you convince this person to not cheat? You probably would tell them, don't do it. Don't do it. It's morally wrong and it's not right. It's not the right thing to do. Just don't do it. You telling them how horrible it is and how morally wrong and how they're going to destroy someone else's life, yada yada. It's really not a yada yada, but it takes them to such a deep place of despair and horrifyingness and just feeling bad about themselves. You're introducing that into a person who already has all of this polar opposite chaotic things going on. So for some reason, making them feel worse doesn't make them feel better, because what they need is to feel better in order not to cheat. And telling them that they're a horrible person for considering it, it doesn't solve the problem, because it doesn't speak to what they're feeling. Because what they're feeling is love, intense yearning, intense peacefulness with this person, happiness, head over heels. I've been looking for you my whole life, and now that I've found you, I can't have you. I already live with polar opposites, so now instead of writing with my dominant hand, my right hand, you're asking me to write everything with my left hand, and you really that I'm going to settle into that happily and feel really good about doing it because you just told me not to do it because it's wrong. They already know it's wrong. That's not going to solve the problem. They may need to be listened to. They may need to be heard. They may need to be acknowledged that what you're feeling is real. What you're feeling is real. It is not something that you're trying to do. I know you don't want to hurt a family. I know you don't want to hurt somebody else's spouse. Now, there are people out there who don't give a darn about that. So I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about your ethically driven, disorganized attachment style. So they probably will want to be acknowledged for this person feels like the love of your life because it's their truth. You can make them fight against a tug of war where the other side is winning all day long and the other side is still winning. No matter how much they try to pull in the opposite direction, telling them to not feel what they feel, I think makes them feel so much worse because they already feel a ton of guilt. It's just they're having difficulty turning the volume down, turning the volume off, stopping the feelings. It's like I always teach people when they're trying to lose weight to add to their daily life, not take away. There is something about telling people to take something away that sabotages the diet every time. I did a Biggest Loser at work one time and everybody gained weight and the person who won lost 2 pounds because it's something about telling people that they can't have it, that you got to go without it. You got to go without the things you love the most that drives them to do the opposite. But when I tell people, add to your diet, add a cup of water when you wake up in the morning, add a cup of water as soon as you walk in the door, add 1 fruit to your day, add 1 vegetable, add 5 minutes of exercise a day. Add a little something that creates distance between you and this wrong lover so that gradually over time you become more and more separated and disengaged. And it's not so shocking to the system. Add a small boundary, like we work together and I will never give him my cell phone number. He can have my office number, but not my cell phone number. When you start taking away, add some yogurt. That works. Add 3 Hershey Kisses to your diet. Well, if they've been eating cheesecake every day, adding 3 Hershey Kisses instead, it's better than saying don't eat anything with sweets in it at all. Do not eat anything with sweets. Knowing that, what would change about what you would say to someone that you're trying to help not to cheat? If you do this, this will happen. If you do that, that will happen. I'm trying to help somebody today. Giving them a simple directive like, don't do it, I don't know. It could help. I'm going to attempt to answer this question, and I may fail at the end. I would ask them, what is your brand? That would be number one. What is your brand? A brand is who you represent. It shows who you are. How do you wear your hair? Do you wear makeup or do you not wear makeup? Do you wear plain clothes or fancy clothes? Do you wear jewelry? Do you get your nails done? What is your philosophy in life? Like, are you a Christian? Do you lead with Christian values? What are your morals and your ethics? How do people see you? What is your brand? Does cheating align with your brand? There are some people who are serial cheaters. I'm sure there are some fearful avoidants who are serial cheaters. So if that is their brand, they probably aren't even asking themselves this question. Like, how do I not cheat when everything in me is attracted to this person? How do I not do it? Because I don't want to. I'm consumed with it. I can't stop thinking about this person all day long, every day. I can't wait to see them. I'm excited to see them. I feel like I'm falling in love with them, but I don't want to cheat. And so it's that polar opposite thing happening again, where it's like I'm trying to push these thoughts away, but they're clinging to me. They are my anxious style and my avoidant style acting all at once. And I don't know what to do because I don't want to do the right thing. I mean, the wrong thing. Freudian slip. I don't want to do the wrong thing. I want to do the right thing. A serial cheater would say my brand is cheating. That's what I do. And everybody knows I'm a cheater. I'm a dog. That's what I do. But for the fearful avoidant who isn't a cheater, their brand is going to be pretty pristine, pretty straight-laced, believe it or not, because it takes the anxiety away to live a life of quote unquote certainty where you have everything laid out, you have a plan, you are organized, you are living with morals and values. And when you're not, it drives you crazy. So a lot of fearful avoidants are going to have a surprisingly linear life. So asking them what is their brand might be a very strong way to convince them not to cheat because they're not going to want to go against their brand. If you have a certain brand and then you are Hester Prynne, you become a Hester Prynne in the Scarlet Letter, that's not going to sit well with a fearful avoidant attachment style. It's just not, because they don't want to be judged like Hester Prynne, even though Hester Prynne, she had a child, she got pregnant out of wedlock. The book takes place, according to Wikipedia, between 1642 and 1649, and it was set in the Puritan Massachusetts Bay Colony. And the novel tells of Hester Prynne, who conceives a daughter with a man who she's not married to, and then struggles to create a new life of repentance and dignity because she's very judged. And yes, that was way back in the day, but we're talking about their brand. He or she is going to want to be seen a certain way, which is capable, strong, steady, has their life together. That's going to be very important to a fearful avoidant. I bet you didn't know that. You probably think a fearful avoidant might be kind of ghetto, but no, not at all. No, not to say that there aren't any, but what I'm saying is their brand is everything to them. And they may be survivors. They may be the people in their family that said, hey, I'm going in a different direction. I can't live this chaotically, even though I feel it internally. That is not the way that I live my life. Number two, what would I tell them? Because there is an orderliness to a lot of fearful avoidance where they want things to be settled, organized, in aligned, know what's happening next, know what's for dinner tomorrow. I've already done my grocery shopping. I got my ingredients. And not to say that they can't enjoy some stimulation or some excitement or some fun or have some spontaneity. They may not like being so rigid in life that there's no room for a let's take a risk or let's be a little let's start dancing in the middle of the cafeteria, you know? So I'm not saying that. That would probably drive some of them nuts to just be strictly straight in a line. There's some room for some gregariousness. There's some room for some flashy clothes and some, hey, something that makes them kind of stand out and be different. I'm not saying that, but because there is a level of orderliness to their life. Number two, are you ready for chaos? Are you ready for chaos? Because in order to cheat with somebody, I would want them to think about realistically, because you're in fantasy land. But let's say both of you decide we're going to go for this. And you've seen other people go for it. Do you see yourself like you see those people? And those people might be very respected people who are people that people look up to and they've just forgiven them, or they're not aware that those people have cheated and that they were both married and broke up their households and got together. People may not be aware of that, or they may be aware of it, but because those people are powerhouses and they're doing these great things, but the disorganized attachment person is going to say, I'm different from that person. I don't want to look like, or you're looking at people who have cheated and messed up their households or the households of other people. Realistically speaking, fantasy world is one thing, but telling them, execute the plan tomorrow. You two decide we're going to be together. We're going to make this happen. Think of all the steps that you're going to have to do. Are you ready for those steps? Their answer is going to be absolutely not. Like, it's not worth it. It ain't worth it. Because step number one, you got to tell that other spouse. You got to tell the spouse, I'm leaving you. Or one of you has to tell the spouse, I'm leaving you. You got to tell the kids, I'm leaving our situation. So now you're not going to have both parents together because I am lusting after this other person. And so I'm going to change your entire world. I'm not going to be there for you like I used to be every single day. And I'm going to go and be with this person. Not only that, whose house are you moving into? Where are you moving? Now you got to pack up all your things and try to move them to a different location or make room in your apartment or your house that's already filled with things. Now you got to make room for this other person. They're going to be upset and riddled with guilt, or you will be riddled with guilt for tearing your family apart. Are you ready to take that step? Are you ready to walk into chaos? You're not going to want to walk into that type of chaos. If you mess with your brand and you step into chaos, how are people going to look at you? How are your parents going to look at you? How are your siblings? How is your church? How are your colleagues going to look at you? Do you think they're going to walk into your mind and be like, oh, but they're so in love, and oh, they're just so perfect for each other, and they're so sexy together, and they're so at peace, and I understand? No, you're going to piss a whole lot of people off. You're going to have children coming to visit you who hate you. Do you really want to deal with that? It's not worth it. So I think you have to, if you can help them to focus on those two things, I think it could be a complete game changer. And number three, which I lightly mentioned, distance. What is it about you that is attracted to distance? They may argue with you and feel like, but I feel so close to this person. Yes, but there is a distance element that is in that relationship that you need to deal with. Distance means I don't have to come closer. I always have an excuse to stay separated. I have an excuse to not close the deal. I have an excuse not to have to deal with you every single day because you have distractions, whether it's you have another family that you're living with or you're living in another state, so it's difficult for us to visit each other. There's always a way that I don't have to come close to you. I don't have to take that risk. I don't have to worry about rejection. There's always an excuse. And yes, I could be very upset by that excuse and very hurt by that excuse. And it keeps me in limbo and frustrated all the time. But yet, you're still attracted to that distance. He's a mama's boy, she's a daddy's girl. So whatever they do for me, they have to go and do that for the parent. They're paying bills over here, they're paying bills over there. They are split in half. This is a form of distance because we can't close the gap. Yes, I love them. There's a closeness. They know how to treat me, but there's that distance element that's always in place that keeps us separated from each other. What happens if you move that distance out of the way and then you just have this person every day in your life? You could see each other. You could talk on the phone every day. You can visit for a few minutes. You can meet up whenever you want. Because there's not that distance, then what are you going to do? They probably will feel like, I don't know what to do with myself. I don't have that many conversations to make. I don't feel comfortable. So they need to work on that uncomfortableness and try to resolve it so that these types of situations aren't so appealing to them. A fourth reason to go for a healthy, happy relationship and avoid one that could cause a lot of problems is you want to appeal to a fearful avoidance smarts because they are usually intelligent, well-studied. They like information. They like understanding things at a deeper level. So here's my attempt. You gotta look at the neurotransmitters that are firing off in your brain when you feel like going for a relationship that is off limits. Number one, dopamine. Dopamine can make you feel addicted to that person, and dopamine is a reward neurotransmitter. That's what happens when people use drugs or they gamble. Dopamine can also make you obsess over this person that you feel romantically inclined to. Now let's talk about serotonin, which is another neurotransmitter. It's what causes you to ruminate and think about your person over and over and over again, where you're thinking about them all day long. Serotonin is to blame for that. You're thinking about this person in almost an obsessive type way. And when you are away from them, you can't stop thinking about them. Let's give them another reason, because we are appealing to their smarts right now. And we want them to have some rational understanding of what is actually happening. So what about the neurotransmitter oxytocin? That's your intimacy neurotransmitter that's been activated. And it can also give you the warm and fuzzies towards somebody, where you feel this peaceful warmth, this calm, yummy feeling towards them. It's probably your oxytocin has been activated. So if you're already feeling kind of out of control, which you probably are, and you haven't done the do, this would be a good reason not to, because if you're already feeling this attached and you haven't done anything intimate, then you're going to advance things if you gonna make your chemicals go even crazier. So if you can't handle this stage and this level of whatever, and chaoticness, then you probably want to refrain from anything that's going to make you dig even deeper into this issue, because these chemicals, they feel good, but it's also stressful to some degree, especially for somebody who's fearful avoidant. It might create some warm and fuzzies, but they're also feeling out of control. Like, why can't I get a handle of this? Why do I feel so out of control? This is driving me nuts, and it feels so good at the same time. And then there's that neurotransmitter that is pretty hot right now called vasopressin. And I've heard all kinds of things about vasopressin, that it can kind of work in two ways in a man. So like if you sleep with him too quickly, it could make him, it could go either way. So it could either make him more attached to you or less attached to you, depending on how attached he is to you already. And it can kind of do all those other things as well, like make you bond to a person of interest. Let me know your thoughts. If you struggle with love relationships, I did write a book called Flip the Script on Love, and now I understand that I was writing it from a disorganized attachment space where I was trying to fill in gaps and figure out, how do you make a love life better? Now I understand that. So it may be helpful to fearful avoidance. And I also wrote a book called The Workplace NaRCISSiST, which is about narcissistic people, not people with attachment style issues, because we like to pin the narcissistic word on those folks. And attachment styles are curable. Narcissism really isn't. So you want to check that book out and make sure you're not attracting a narcissist, because that is another difficult issue. And if you love Myers-Briggs like I do, understanding people can help a disorganized attachment style, because it helps them to understand the person better. So I explore all 16 Myers-Briggs type and from ENFJ with Love. Check those out, or I'll put the link in the description box. And thank you guys. Like this video, share it with people that it will help, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.